Faces and Places. Faces and Places podcast.
So, hello everyone, it's Faces and Places podcast, and it's the podcast where we're telling inspiring stories of interesting people. And I'm so excited to introduce our new guest, Linea Maria, a girl who is living in Van and entrepreneur and content creator. Hi.
Hello.
So, I will start straight ahead with an interesting question. How does your day usually looks like when you are in Van? Like, how does your routine looks like?
Yeah, so I think it varies a lot depending on also what I'm doing that day, and also actually depending a lot on the weather. If the weather is nice and good, I usually just want to get out and do stuff in Portugal as soon as possible. If the weather is a little bit bad, it might take more time inside the van and chill a little. Otherwise, I usually drive to the gym where I also shower. It's like 10 minutes away from Edicera area, and then I have my gym membership there and I also shower. But yeah, usually it's like I wake up, I make my bed, so it's as you can maybe see in the videos and the pictures as well, it's like a couch normally, and then you can pull it out as a bed when you sleep. And I always like prefer making my bed before going out, because then it's just nice and neat when I go back into the van. So I would make my van, and I will get a coffee or a tea, and I'll do it on my little like outdoor kitchen. And then I have this little side table that I put on the door that I usually do, and then I would do breakfast and maybe a surf, and then I'll start my day.
Oh my God, that sounds like a perfect beginning of the day.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I forgot one thing. The first thing I always do is I open up the back of the doors in the van, because I always park places where I have like a beautiful view, whether it's like to the ocean or to the forest. So I would always like open the doors and then just lay there for a couple of minutes and just look out, and then be like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is why I'm living in a van, to wake up with this view every morning.
Well, I'm having goosebumps, you know, like it's... I would like to experience that. I really like that feeling when you are, for example, doing camping with your friends, and also like when you're just opening your tent and you see that beautiful view. I think like that's something for what I want to live, like, you know, that's the reason.
Yeah, I know. So beautiful, right?
Yeah, it is. What are you doing usually, like during the day, and how do you manage like your work and how your like work looks like?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying that like everything around the van life right now is new to me, but like coming here, it was completely new to me. So now I'm even more used to living in the van, but in the beginning I had no idea what I was doing. Like literally, I just bought a car, and then like I had 3 days making the car, and then I drove, and I did not know what I was doing. So like I'm kind of like growing into the van life more as I go along, and then kind of like put more things into it, like making curtains and getting electricity. So in the beginning I wouldn't have electricity in the car, which also made it really hard for me to work, because I couldn't charge my computer or anything. So I would always go to co-working cafes in Edicera, which is really nice for some work days, but also like if you want to focus, it's kind of like it's a little bit hard. So I drove out, and then I got solar panels in the car, which is so useful, and I love it now. So I can work from the car, which is really nice.
Oh, it's the beautiful view.
Yeah, like it's amazing. Just sitting there, I have like a little fold-up table, and I can just sit there working and like look over the ocean, do a little break, go swimming, come back, like do what, like it's, I know, I really, really love it, because you have so much freedom living in a car.
Whoa, so like how did it happen that you started like living in the van? Like when did you came up with the idea? And why?
I don't know. Like, I'm such a spontaneous person, so sometimes like an idea comes into my head and I just do it. It's not really because I think like a lot about things before I do it. I guess it's like pros and cons around that. But yeah, I don't know. I was living in Berlin at the time and I really missed being close to nature, and yeah, I didn't really want to live in a city center. And then something like, I don't know, it was just kind of like an intuition that was like, yeah, you should go back to Portugal, because I've been living a lot in Portugal before and I really love the country.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, yeah, I need something more to happen. Like I'd just been through, like, I don't know, I needed to challenge myself a lot, I felt like. So I was like, it's not enough just moving to another country, because I'm used to traveling, I'm used to living in other countries. I wanted to challenge myself even more. And then I was like, okay, I'm always used to living in like nice apartments that are big, and I have like everything structured. I know where everything is. Like, yeah. And I kind of wanted to try out the more minimalistic life, just not having that much, just doing whatever I wanted to do in that moment. And then I was like, I just found myself looking at cars online, and I didn't even know anything about cars. Like, I didn't even know what to look for. So my dad helped me out a lot, and then I kind of got more into it. And then, yeah, I kind of just bought the car. And then also a lot of these things, like figuring out what is legal, like how can you build whatever, all these things is like what came after I bought the car. So like a little tip for people listening, that is, like, look into all like the practical legal stuff before buying the car. Because
so like there are some things, like some terms which are illegal, right?
In Denmark there are, but yeah, like I kind of got myself around it. So there are just some things that I can't have in the car, like I can't have water or like running water, and I can't have like a kitchen that's inside, because that would be illegal in Denmark. And I think it's different for every country, right? But I didn't know that at the time when I bought the car, so I would probably have gotten like a car and a different color license, knowing that. But like I don't regret at all buying the car, but it's just, you just have to like look a lot into, yeah, you know, how to work around it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I think it's like a pretty useful tip, because, you know, maybe some people will get inspiration, will go and buy a car and make it like a van, and it's like there are gonna be some problems. So guys, like be careful.
Yeah, but also like I'm also such a fan of the rock and roll life, so I'm kind of like, just do it and you'll always like figure it out on the way. It's just nice to be aware. It's just nice to know, let's say something happens, and you know like how to work around it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like how long like do you live like that? I mean, since when did you start your adventure?
I started in, I think it was the end of January, so it's not even that long. It's like, yeah, what is that, February, March? Yeah, so kind of like 2.5 months, so it's still quite new. But I know that like this is something that I'll keep on having in my life. I just want to say like for the rest of my life. Just, I'm probably not gonna live in a car for the rest of my life, but I will have like, I really want to have a van just to go out on weekends, like go camping, just go around Europe, and travel and see like the countries. It's beautiful.
Awesome. And why did you choose Portugal? Just because you were living there before?
So there are so many beautiful countries in Europe, and I would actually want to be like, try out every country. For me, I love Australia as well, and I kind of see a little similarities in Portugal and Australia, kind of with the cliffs and the nature and stuff. So for me, it's like a little European Australia.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I love that the country is not that big, and I feel like the people are really sweet and friendly. A lot of cute old people, and it has like its traditions, and yeah, and the surf as well. And I mean, it's easy to go like from A to B within the country. Like Spain is huge, right?
Yes.
And I do love Spain as well, but I think I like smaller countries.
I totally understand what you mean, and also what I've noticed is that it's like healthy country, you know, like people are usually going out doing some workouts, even those old people, and this is super inspiring for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I also like that it's a rough country, or it's like it's not everything is beautiful because of the nature, but it's not like completely polished. I like that it has like a little roughness to it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And honestly, I get huge inspiration when we met and when I was
thank you so much.
going like across your profile. And I mean, Portugal is also the place where I feel myself in the right place, I would say. And this story with Van is super inspiring. So I was also considering maybe to try it one day, but I was also curious, and I think people who listen to us will be curious about, is it expensive to live in Van, or it's really like you need minimum of everything?
Good question. I'm surprised about how it, like, I thought it would be more cheap, but it's also because, like, for me, just buying the car and fixing the car, and you know, like, just having a car with the insurance and the taxes and everything, it's expensive, you know. It's kind of like having a rent at the same time. And I did think coming here, I was like, if everything goes wrong, I'll just rent a room somewhere. But like, I think I wouldn't have the money for actually renting a room and also having my car, because yeah, it's like, for me, I pay insurance and I pay the taxes, and then also the diesel, and even like if something happens with the car, like right now my clutch is really not working and it's super expensive, and to also like the road taxes here in Portugal, like if you want to go down to the south and back again, it can easily be like 100 euros, and also because I do have an outdoor kitchen, and it's kind of like sometimes it's like a full-time job to live in a van because like you have to make it, like you have to make the kitchen, and then you have to make the food, and then you have to like do the dishes, and you're out in nature, and like everything's get dirty, and like where do you get the water, and you have to make the bed and all these things, right? Yeah. So sometimes you kind of like just want to grab something on the go if you're in a hurry. So then you also eat a lot out, and in the beginning I did co-working a lot of places, and then I bought like coffees a lot of places. So I mean, Portugal is not an expensive country, so it's not because of Portugal, but it's just, yeah, I mean, I guess the lifestyle is actually more expensive than I thought, but it's not.
You're planning for now to visit some like other countries, or you've already been like and visited some other countries in van?
I did live in a van like a year ago with my ex-boyfriend. Mm-hmm. That was a bit smaller car. It was a caddy, and it didn't I wouldn't say live in it, but we did drive around a lot of places in Europe. We went to Spain, Portugal, we went to Italy, and also like Sardinia in Italy, and that was like beautiful. Where else? We were in Austria a bit, not living in the car but driving around. And I mean, yeah, so I definitely want to, we were also in France. I definitely want to visit like more countries, and that's definitely the plan with this car also, because it's like, now that, like in the beginning, also being alone and a girl and stuff, I kind of felt like, oh, like I don't know, like where can I park, where can I do this? But now, like even just living in it for 2 months, I feel way more safe, I feel way more secure, and it kind of gave me the courage to now be like, okay, I can just drive around other countries if I want that as well. Like things will be fine, or hopefully things will be fine. You just have to be like a bit more cautious in things you do. And so the plan for me right now is probably leaving my car in Portugal, flying back home. I have some things I need to do in June in Denmark, and then maybe like I don't know what my plan is, but I'm thinking about leaving the car here and then having it like a holiday house, so I can just fly back and forth, and then whenever I want to do something, drive around, maybe go to Spain. I don't know, maybe go to France. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
mean, at some point, of course, it has to go back to Denmark, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll have to do the road or the long drive back again.
So you mentioned that like you feel more safer now, like staying alone in the van. How was it like before? Is it like actually safe to stay alone in van?
I would say yes. I would say it's safe. Definitely in Portugal, I feel super safe, and it depends if I'm like also, you know, how I'm feeling, how my body, where I am in my cyclist, you know, like how my energy is. If I'm feeling a little bit unsafe, insecure, like not really having the vibe of being super adventurous, I would always park at a nice parking spot where I know there's other vans, and then I would definitely feel more safe. But if I'm like really wanting to be like alone and having my me time and being more adventurous, I would go somewhere where no one else is. And those nights can be a little bit scary, but I've never felt unsafe. Just because you're like parked, then I would drive like on a dirt road for 30 minutes, get somewhere, and then there's no one around me. And then if I would hear like a funny noise, I would be like, oh, what's this? But then like you just have to calm yourself. And then like I always sleep with the car is locked. And you know, I'm like, I don't think anything will happen. I like to believe in the good stuff in life, the good in people. But I mean, it's also important not to be naive, right?
Yeah, and like any wild stories like which happened to you during this trip?
Yeah, I guess it. Oh yeah, okay. Like just it was some hard nights coming to Portugal. The car wasn't done. The paint wouldn't dry in Denmark. I had 3 days to build everything inside, and the car was red, and I really wanted to spray paint it black as the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to build the bed and the table and the closets and everything. And I also wanted curtains, but I didn't have time for any of that. So I just did what was necessary, and then I drove to Portugal. And then I came here. I got really sick. My back was hurting a lot, and I pushed myself too much the last couple of months living in Berlin, and then somehow my body just kind of shut down when I got here. So I had a couple of nights at a hotel just to recharge my body, and then I had to go back living in the van, and it was really cold at that time, definitely at night in like the end of January in Portugal. It can be cold. And then when the car is not really done, and like you don't really feel at home, and the paint wasn't really dry, and it smelled like paint, and there was no curtains, and like I remember those nights being quite challenging for me, and I didn't know where to park, and I didn't feel unsafe, but I just felt I was kind of like sleeping with one eye open, because I didn't know if the authorities would come, because I wasn't like, you're not allowed to sleep at all the camping spots here, but I do it anyways. And it was, but I guess it's because it's low season right now, so like no one is really checking, but I didn't know it at that time. And then there was one day where I chose to like get everything done. So I took my bed out and I painted everything again, because I need to do that. And then like the sun just started setting, and I was like, shit, it's not drying. And this is literally my bed, and this is my house, so like I don't know where to sleep if I can't, and I couldn't carry the bed by myself because it's super heavy. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just leave the bed outside. And then I kind of also I had to go to the toilet, and I couldn't find, like I don't know, I had to drive somewhere, maybe get some food, and I kind of had to leave my bed there. And I was like, what if my bed gets stolen? I don't have a bed. And I remember I really wanted to get the paint done, because I was like, I don't want to use any more time of it. So I took I just had my phone on with lights, and I was sitting in this van. It was super cold. It was really dark, and I was just sitting painting there, and I think it was like 2:00 at night. And then finally I was done, and then I kind of just crashed on the floor of the van, because the bed was outside, and I slept so bad, and I felt like so alone, and I felt like, oh, this is so challenging right now. But you know, like looking back at it now, it's kind of like, yeah, that's what, like, it's not all like flowers and roses. It's like you can easily romanticize the van life, but it's also challenging sometimes.
Yeah. The other part of it, yeah. You were like mentioning a lot of like time during our conversation, the words such like being conscious, like being aware, like as I feel also like by your vibe, like you are also like very into it, right?
Yeah, into what are you thinking?
Like into like mindfulness, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I think like self-care and connecting with yourself is the most important thing in life. Learning to love yourself and to reflect upon things that happen in your life and the people that are in your life. And I work a lot with it. I have been working a lot with it the last couple of years as well. And I think when you also go through something that can be kind of hard, periods in your life that can be kind of hard, it's important to go look inwards and work with that. So yeah, I do a lot of connecting with my body and my mind. My body is also very, very sensitive, so if something is like not working on a more mental level, my body can always feel it. I usually get sick, or so I kind of really want to treat myself really nicely, speak nicely to myself, and just explore.
What helps you like to stay conscious, to be and to talk kind to yourself, to be kind to yourself? Yeah, maybe some. What is it? It's like.
That's such a nice question. I like this question. For me, nature always helps a lot. Like being out in nature. I get so sentimental, even if I'm like surfing and there's no waves and I'm just sitting on the surfboard looking like down in the ocean, or if I go out for a hike and I just look up in the trees, and I feel so alive. So I would definitely say nature, but then also reflecting a lot. I love reflecting. Have so many beautiful friendships and relations that help me reflect upon things that happen in my life. So I do a lot of notes and think about what happened, why did it happen, and what can I do. Like if it was a bad thing, like what should I do next time? What are my, like, all these types of things. And I feel like sharing is really nice and something that we should all be better at, like checking in on each other and sharing and listening. If you feel like you're not in sync with yourself, talk to people around you. Like, don't be afraid to open up, because usually it always comes out better. So those, man, do something nice for yourself, like maybe do a nice dinner. Buy some flowers, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that like also the healthy food is also showing how you respect yourself, you know, like.
Yeah, well, you usually always just feel better, like, and even like it shouldn't be like super healthy. Like if you want to eat pasta one day, do that and just like embrace that also. I'm vegan, and it's kind of, yeah, I always feel like after becoming vegan, I always feel like I look out, I treat myself really nicely with the things that I eat, because it's mainly just vegetables, and I love the feeling of just having a body filled with the vegetables. And yeah,
we're about to finish the podcast. Sometimes we're having like our special question to our guests, and I feel like I can ask it because it's funny. What would you choose, sex or van life?
I love this question. I would choose sex. But I do still love van life. It would be just underneath it. If I could get a combination, it would be the best.
But like, did you have already this combination?
Actually, I haven't.
Thank you a lot for this amazing podcast. I'm sure that's like it will be awesome and it's like super inspiring. I feel that it's like full of freedom, full of love to
I'm
life,
glad.
you know.
Yeah.
And
That's really what I like aim to do. So I hope it will be nice.
definitely, and with your amazing content, I'm sure that's
Yeah, I'll
gonna be
send
like
something
that.
over to you.